This just might be the most absurd street SV650 I have ever gotten. It is super special, and let me tell you why. So, I've done a walk around video on my super bike, which I bought off my friend Chris a couple of years ago. It has been an amazing bike. I really like it. It makes power, it does everything it needs to, makes horsepower, has a lot of nice parts on it. But this was Chris's other bike, which is the street version of that exact same thing. So this also has every goodie you would want to throw at it. It is basically a set of bodywork away from being yet another super bike. So I've been when he was selling them, he was selling both of them, but I didn't really have money to buy both. So my friend Jason bought it, and finally my friend Jason managed to sell it to me. So you might remember I had a couple of projects lined up, which were the Gladius, the 03 track bike, and a black frame orange bike. Well, in order to fund this, because this is a ridiculous bike with like Penske AK-20s, or TWF cartridges, power commander, built motor. This makes the same 85 horse that my regular one, my race bike does, and so on. It wasn't a cheap bike, so I parted and or sold all those, and now this is going to be my new black frame orange. So the blue is going to come off, the blue is going to be for sale, and the by the way, it's not its real color. Its real color is just muggy as hell after being cold, so everything is sweating right now. But yeah, so this is what I get to take apart and put back together in orange. But just for the sake of, history, let me run through what all is on here. So it's got the SV1000 belly pan with brackets that he made up. It had to be trimmed up, obviously, a couple of different ways, because SV1000 belly pans don't really fit 650s well. It has GB Racing covers, Vortex rear sets, full M4 system. Has a nice blue tail tidy with deletes. There's obviously a power commander in there somewhere, which was dyno mapped. I can't remember who he said it was dynoed by. Fender eliminator, integrated tail, all the usual stuff. These things are really nice. Chris did them on both of his bikes. There's a spring in here so that when you pull the axle adjustment blocks stay in place, and then they're safety wired into the swing arm. Really clever way of doing that. Also, it's got, from what looks like it to me, that looks like an F3 rear, or third gen rear wheel, or a Gladius rear wheel, so that it can run a 180 or fit a 160 more comfortably. Quick shifter, right now it's in GP configuration. I don't actually like riding GP, so quick shifter is going to go away and I'm going to flip the knuckle. Woodcraft sliders, these are going to get replaced by no cuts because I think I'm going to put the lower fairing on. Brembo Master, Motion Pro throttle. Now here's an interesting thing, because it's got Vortex clip-ons that are really, really low, they barely clear the bodywork. Chris actually had to cut a hole in the inner fairing so that the lever wouldn't get pushed. So, something to think about. Heeltech Gip Pro, Gear Indicator Pro, GPR steering damper, these bullshit mirrors that don't do anything because they don't show you anything, but they make it legal. Zero gravity screen, block-off plates for the stock mirrors. I think since it's going to be a street bike, I'm going to put like actual mirrors on it. Probably. But yeah, it has, you can't really see it, but it has a cut airbox because it's the same exact build as my other bike. Penske, you know, pretty much everything you could throw at a street SV, making it handle and making it go fast. According to Chris, it should make about the same 85 horse as my race bike does. So, yeah, there's also a lithium battery in there. I didn't feel like pulling the seat off, but it is known. But yeah, so I have a feeling that my project with this, and it's not going to be much of a project, I'll probably be done sometime in the next couple of days, is to make that look like this, except with the black frame. I have all the orange stuff stashed from when I was starting to do that. And then maybe I will have two ridiculous street SVs, or maybe what I will do is play swap around and get some of the nicer parts off of my old street bike onto the new street bike, like the hugger and those Brembos with the bracket, stuff like that, because this also has a Brembo master. So I'm going to, well, first I need to finish that up because I'm using that this weekend. Then I need to get this stupid Tiger off my table because it's giant and it's in the way. I'd like to have two tables available. And then I can probably knock out my black frame orange, which will be awesome. I'm beyond excited about it. It is a really, really, really nice bike to begin with only like 10,000 miles on it. Everything is sweaty. Yeah, 10,090. So 10,000 miles on this bike. It is absolutely mint. Chris really, really, really went out of his way to make the nicest, shiniest thing he could, and he did not skimp on parts. He did not skimp anywhere. So I'm kind of excited. This bike will be probably pretty awesome. I'm pretty psyched about it.
2 hours later.
Since I've got videos of most of these individual procedures, I'm just going to run through this speed run style or time lapse style or whatever. So here we find the first thing that I don't like so far. So first of all, the rear taillight isn't bolted into the side fairings. I suspect that might be just for ease of disassembly because it's held on fine by these two bolts. But the problem is, what I don't like is the wires for it are just crimped into the main harness without connectors. So this makes it a little bit difficult. I'm gonna have to cut that. I'll probably, when I get around to it, well, you know what? I don't need to cut that. I can just leave the taillight wired up and put together the other tail. I'll probably eventually go through and redo the connectors so that it's quick and easy plug and play. Nice to have old towels all over the place. That way you always have a nice soft work surface. Alright, so that's the main stuff mocked up. Let me put this aside for now. Somewhere safe. There's nowhere safe in this garage anymore. Stay. So this is the orange street fairing version of this. That's cool. Alright, so on the to-do list, do an orange SV1000 belly pan. Or maybe I'll just go full fairing like I was planning. I already have an orange SV1000 belly pan on this bike. I'm not really a huge fan of it. I think I actually like the idea of going full fairing. Plus I have RNG no-cut sliders lined up for it. I have a bunch of black powder coated parts, some of which may not actually go onto this bike. Like I had the black powder coated sprocket carrier, but oh, it can go on there. Oh yeah. I have black powder coated plates, but I like that they're drilled and I don't want to drill through powder coat. That can go on a different bike. I have passenger pegs, which this doesn't have, and I had an 03 subframe powder coated black so that I could have a taller subframe because I like the 03, but I realized that the way this bike was done, then I'd have to come up with a way to stash the Penske reservoir and redo a bunch of stuff. So that might yet happen because I'm not sure if I want to cut the tank or just swap an 03 subframe on and have a tall bike. But this is roughly what it's going to turn out to be when it's done. Not going to be that much different. Not going to look that much different. We will have lower fairings right there, so all that will be orange. But yeah, I'm pretty psyched about this bike. Well, need mirrors, need a bunch of stuff. But I have now probably the most kick-ass suspension you can put on an SV, at least at any meaningful money. I have probably the closest to big power as far as motor goes that I would want to have on an SV, because after 85 it gets a little grenady. I pretty much have all the goodies that you could stick on this bike. Have awesome brakes, well, with stock calipers though, but what's on my race bike? The exact same thing with stock calipers. So maybe keep them roughly equivalent. Also, the nice thing about this is if this decides to stop being a bike for some reason, I am like half an hour of work away from turning that into this, or the other way around. Just pull everything off, throw the race body work on and race fairing stay, and go. So that's a little update on the black and orange build. Unfortunately, there will not be any updates on the Gladius build because that's sold to fund this, nor will the 03 track bike be happening because I already have entirely too many 03-ish bikes. And then there's my Super Sport in the trailer, so. And then lastly, the black frame orange is this, but the black frame orange thing that I started with, that frame is apart in a corner somewhere, and that motor's sold, and so on. All to fund this. This was unfortunately not cheap. If I had the money originally, I would have bought it. I should have bought it as a package deal with this one, but I didn't really have the money at the time, so I let it go, and then I regretted it for a while, and then I overpaid for it. So yeah, that's kind of an update on what's going on with all this orange stuff. Oh yeah, of course, the most important thing I'm going to need to get for that bike, I am going to need to get Jinba Itai stickers. That's the Miata phrase for rider and horse as one. Well, that's the Japanese phrase from Japanese archery for rider and horse as one. But that is because the SV is a Miata. The Miata words definitely apply to the SV, even if it's an overbuilt to hell one.